Hub worlds in video games. They're like the cozy rest stops between levels. When done right, they're probably one of the best ways to immerse the player. And there's just so much to love about them, especially the hub worlds in Sonic games. Whether it's a sprawling city, an ancient jungle, or a lush forest, it's always great to return to a welcoming and familiar setting after a tough level. Being able to just stroll around without the immediate threats that the rest of the game so often throws at you is such a nice and sometimes very needed change of pace. Especially in a Sonic game where everything is so fast-paced. Even the blue blur needs a siesta from time to time. Sonic's hub worlds, almost always distinct from the main levels, serve as a sort of sanctuary or home base for the player. They're like the pit stops of Sonic games. You can often complete minigames, talk to NPCs, buy items, find additional entrances to new levels, or just straight up dick around with the player controller for hours with absolutely zero aim. I mean, there's no way I'm the only one that just ran around in circles for hours in these hub worlds, right? Not every Sonic game has hub worlds though. In fact, only a select few do. But it's these select few hub worlds that are etched into my memory. There's just something about them that's so special. So today, I want to try to explain the unexplainable magic that these areas hold. Welcome to chaomix, and this is the beauty of hub worlds in Sonic games. Welcome to the Sonic Hub World Tour. I'll be your guide today as we travel through the locales of Sonic's Hub Worlds. Our first stop, a lesser known location from the Sonic series called Sonic World from the game Sonic Jam. You always hear about Sonic Adventure's hub worlds and how awesome they are. And don't get me wrong, we'll get into those, but it's actually Sonic Jam that first paved the way for hub worlds in the Sonic series. Sonic World was more of a bonus addition to Sonic Jam, as the main game acted primarily as a compilation of the original classic trilogy. But despite this, it would be the first time fans would be able to leisurely control Sonic in a 3D space. Emphasis on leisurely because Sonic R was anything but that. Rather than simply navigating a menu to access the game's extra features, Sonic World acted as a sort of nexus for players to directly traverse to access these features, like the theater, music shop, and art gallery. But Sonic World was more than just an interactive menu. If players wanted to take on a challenge, they'd be able to engage with some of the various missions found throughout the area. There were in total 8 different missions consisting of things like collecting a certain amount of rings, balloons, or secret cards within a time limit. And once you complete each challenge, a giant ring will appear to present the credits of the game. Pretty basic stuff, sure, but for a first-time attempt, I always thought this area was pretty neat, especially when you take in its aesthetic. You see, classic Sonic didn't get to exist for very long in 3D, but this happened to be one of those brief exceptions, because Sonic's first true 3D game, Sonic Adventure, would come with a huge shift in art style, changing not only the characters' designs, but also the aesthetic of the world's environments. As you can see, Sonic World is very Green Hill inspired. I know, gross, right? Well, back then it wasn't all too common to see Green Hill just plastered everywhere like we do today. And technically, the game never refers to Sonic World as Green Hill anyways, so we don't even know if it really is. But taking a quick look around, we can see the iconic checkerboard dirt, bright green grass, and palm trees scattered plenty. A very surreal 90s summer vibe that classic Sonic always loved to give us. I'm gonna be saying this a lot throughout this video, but damn, this is one comfy hub world. The music, the low-poly Sonic model with the chunky animations, and especially the environment. Sonic World has a very special, early 3D classic Sonic vibe to it that I honestly feel like we were robbed of. Like seriously, imagine if we had gotten a full-fledged game in this style. All the additional zones, enemy designs, and environments in this vibrant, low-poly style? Man, I gotta stop thinking about this or I'm just gonna get depressed. Admittedly, Sonic World doesn't have too much to offer. I mean, this was just an extra feature in a game that was primarily meant to be a compilation of the original trilogy. In fact, this is the smallest hub world on our tour. But as a consolation, I'll leave you with a fun fact. A lot of Sonic World consisted of early Sonic Adventure prototype assets before they moved that game's production over to the Dreamcast. Pretty cool. Speaking of Sonic Adventure, our next set of destinations in the Sonic Hub World Tour are the 3 from this game. They've got weird little missions and changing NPC dialogue depending on what part of the game you're on. It's fantastic. But let's start touring each area one by one, starting with the iconic Station Square. Station Square is a bustling city filled with so many sights to see, it's actually crazy. So, what are some of the must-visit spots here? Well, some of the main attractions of Station Square include the casino, the amusement park, and the luxury hotel. But wait, there's more. You've got the swimming pool, this neat little parking garage, the town hall entrance, this boating dock on the beach. There's even little hidden areas that house a few secrets, like in the sewers, this secret room above the hotel front desk, and this strange little room above the sewer tunnels. Like, who are some of these rooms even for? Doesn't matter. Sonic can get inside them, and they do be kinda cozy. But everything we've talked about so far are all things you encounter by playing through the game normally. We know about all this stuff. I want to take a second to appreciate all of the little details that people probably pass by without even noticing. Because Station Square is truly beautiful in all of its tiny, intricate details that make it truly feel inhabited. Look inside of almost any of these building windows and you'll find some of the most mysterious JPEGs you'll ever see. Like this one with Among Us. There's also a ton of weird posters that are too low res to fully make out, but just detailed enough to invoke some type of feeling. Like, I have no idea what this is, but I'm all for it. Look at this little newspaper shop in the corner that most people probably don't even know about. Or how about this train station booth most players probably don't even think twice about. You can like go in it and pretend you're selling tickets and stuff. Yes, I did have way too much free time as a kid. Why do you ask? You've got the burger shop with its fun checkerboard tiles and the crustiest pizza JPEGs you've ever seen. And this strange tunnel under the hotels that cars are constantly coming in and out of. It's so mysterious, like what the heck could be down there? I was 1000% sure as a kid that there was some secret level down there. There just had to be. There's also all of these cool little overhangs you can manage to climb up on. They don't exactly do anything, but they're still pretty fun and they seem like areas you're not really supposed to be able to get to. I love all the little blue drinks on each and every single one of the tables in the pool area. Who are they for and why is nobody drinking them? Or what about this good food Station Square diner? Something tells me that their food is probably good. Station Square is truly an incredible area that I always find myself taking in, even to this day. The modern setting along with the weird retro yet futuristic looking cars, the anime humans, and the over-the-top attractions really make this a place I'd love to actually visit. Especially with this gorgeous sunset, like come on. Our next stop is the Mystic Ruins. It's apparently and luckily supported by the Station Square train lines, making it a frequent stop throughout the story of this game. Sure, the stairs are a little bit shoddy, but the view after that can't be beaten, especially if you ignore all of the caution rails off the side of the steep cliff. Yeah, this is definitely a hazard. But come on, it's danger like this that makes this area all the more thrilling. There's so many cool spots in this first area. I mean, look at this amazing waterfall and the crystal clear pond below. The cave to Windy Valley you gotta go in with this giant gust of wind blowing upwards. Or how about this other cave that has an entire minecart system to get to the Chao Garden? Tails even has his own workshop stationed here. You can go inside the garage, which is admittedly a bit empty, but this is a whole ass building. Like, you've got this mysterious door on the second floor that you can't open. I've always wanted to go in here just to see what Tails' house looked like on the inside. He's even got this cool lookout station at the top of his house. But technically, any place can be a cool lookout station if you spin dash jump the right way. Like this neat overhang on the cliffs, or even the train tracks themselves. God, I love playing on train tracks. Unfortunately, there's an invisible wall here, so you can't really explore it all too much. But I've definitely always thought it would have been cool if Sonic could run through them on foot to get to Station Square. The fact that he takes public transit is actually kind of hilarious. Anyways, being the original homeland of the ancient Echidna tribe, we can actually see the ancient ruins covered with their scriptures in the jungle area. There's a ton of fun overhangs here too that you can get to and see the vast jungle. But from this view, all you can really see are the tops of the never-ending landscape of trees. Jump down and you'll get lost in the mysterious maze of the Mystic Ruins jungle. These winding paths still confuse me even to this day, but I always find myself still hoping that I'll find something new in such a confusing yet vast area. I'm sure you can already tell, but yes, I was the kid that would believe every playground video game rumor. I tried so hard to unlock Sonic in Super Smash Bros. Melee, dude. Some other notable spots here include Big Shack, which by the way is such a vibe, this river that runs along the entire jungle, this cool cave filled with sand, and some Eggman bullshit all the way at the end. I gotta say though, the contrast between this and the jungle was always really cool. It's crazy to think that this land used to be one and the same with Angel Island, but venture through the mysterious hole in this rock wall in front of the train station and you'll see for yourself. Angel Island, fallen from the sky straight back where it was originally cleaved from. You know, I see this and I get it. I get why Knuckles is the way he is. There's just such an amazing view here at this height. And with the rockside cliff and pine trees, I'd want nothing else but peace and quiet too. And our final stop in this particular adventure is the Egg Carrier, a massive aircraft constructed by the Doctor himself. And trust me, this ship lets you know it's Eggman's. The tech you find throughout this entire ship is so fun looking, especially in this control room with all the moving parts and bright teal screens. Press this button and the entire ship transforms, changing the external layout slightly. Go back in and you can find Eggman's quarters, with the slot machines and insane futuristic Y2K interior design all over the room. Even this lounge area would be so cool to relax in. Dude, Eggman must have like some insane pull with a room like this. There's so many fun areas to jump up to and lots of crazy spinny structures to hang out on. You've also got these cannons that shoot you to this crazy looking center platform, and the camera even zooms out for maximum cinematic view. Eggman even has this indoor pool area where you can spin dash jump up these chairs to get all the rings on the top. Like, they really consider that people would actually want to explore this place and try doing the most Sonic Adventure thing of all time, spin dash jumping to the heavens. The main inside area can be accessed by descending down in this Eggman-themed hovercraft. This is where business happens. You can see Eggman's own hovercraft parked here, a bunch of robot maids cleaning the floors, a freaking shuttle that can pick you up and drop you back off at the beginning of the ship, and there's like 20 doors here that you can't exactly access whenever you want, but throughout the story you can get into. Like, this place's design is insane. Also, maybe a detail that only I care about, but the lighting here is so cool. Honestly, people never give credit to this game's lighting. It's absolutely amazing sometimes. Man, that was a lot just for one game. But that's because the hub worlds in Sonic Adventure were unlike anything else at the time, and even to this day still wow me in how fun and exciting they are to explore. By far my personal favorite hub worlds from any Sonic game. Anyways, let's address the elephant in the room. You see, Sonic Adventure 2 opted for a world map rather than hub worlds. Lame, I know. But in a way, I feel like the more interconnected Chao World along with the Chao Kindergarten acted as a mini hub world. It fills that same role of a reoccurring leisurely map you can return to after each level, granted you collected the Chao key. You'd also get to play as Tails and Eggman out of their mechs. Which is kind of crazy to think that they programmed a whole unique player controller for these guys just for this little minigame. Peak Yosh and action. Anyways, not everyone might know about this, but the Chao Gardens in the original Dreamcast version and the battle port of this game are actually pretty different. Even though the quality of life changes made to the Chao Garden are so good in battle that it's hard to go back to the Dreamcast version of this game, sometimes I still do just for the cooler Chao Gardens. Because the GameCube version would take out this cool cave with the cauldron in the Dark Garden, and this sick river that flows through the entire Hero Garden. Thank God for mods, because I always found the updated versions of these gardens way more boring. But yeah, everything about the Chao Garden is extra cozy. Peak cozy, dare I say. It's just too bad this game didn't have fully fledged hub worlds like Sonic Adventure 1 did, but oh well. Our next stop is actually an honorable mention, the world from Sonic Battle. Now, this isn't necessarily a hub world, it's more like a glorified world map with Sonic acting as a cursor to interact with whatever you need to do next. It's like a point and click with extra steps. But these areas are pretty cool. Like, Tails has his own house shaped like his head in Emerald Town, and Amy even has an apartment in Central City. There's also Night Babylon, the entertainment district of the city, and the Holy Summit, which is basically Angel Island. All pretty cool locations that give the Sonic series a bit of continuity. I mean, we get to see where some of these characters live, and Central City is a reoccurring place that also appears in Shadow the Hedgehog. I also want to bundle Sonic Advance 3's zone maps into this honorable mention. Each zone map corresponds to the theme of its zone, and has various platforming puzzles to get around to each act. This is our first example of a 2D hub world, and it's a pretty good one all things considered. These hubs are certainly more abstract than anything we've talked about previously, but I definitely still consider these hub worlds. The next stop on our hub world tour is Soleanna, the castle town from Sonic 06. Soleanna is very obviously inspired by Venice, Italy, which is a location I never knew I even wanted to see Sonic in, but it kinda works. Say what you will about the game, but this setting is absolutely gorgeous. Just kinda squint your eyes a bit because the game's lighting is really bad. Anyways, like Sonic Adventure, this game also features NPCs with just absolutely amazing animations. Wow, look at them go. Running around the rooftops was always my favorite part of this area. You get to overlook the entire town. You kind of felt like a weird little blue rat themed superhero. It's also fun that you have all these destructible crates that absolutely spew out apples when you break them. It makes the frame rate sometimes, at least on the PS3 version, go to absolute hell, and it's hilarious. Sure, the charming low-poly anime characters from Sonic Adventure may be gone, but did Adventure have Robert or middle-aged man? Nah, I didn't think so. Alright, real talk, the NPCs in this game are definitely a downgrade from Adventure. Okay, wait, I just remembered this game has Sonic Man, so actually never mind. Soleanna itself is legitimately a very beautiful town on the water with a ton of beautiful architecture, an amazing little accordion track to listen to as you run around, and super cool landmarks like this water fountain and this crazy structure in the middle that's used in the Festival of the Sun ceremony shown in the beginning of the game. Actually, just look at Soleanna from this CGI cutscene and you can actually see how beautiful it's supposed to be. Now let's move on past these ginormous gates and into the new city. The New City portion of Soleanna is obviously a lot more modern than what we explored before. You've got tall buildings, tons of shops, people, even this factory all the way at the end. And you've got some of the funkiest music of all time. Just listen to that flute go, damn. You can kind of window shop here, but the textures are somehow even more blurry than Sonic Adventure and there just isn't as much variety. Yes, New City may be way bigger, but it just can't compare to Station Square, I'm sorry. It's still got NPCs roaming around, but you know what? Maybe it's the fact that the streets are completely empty. Like, there's absolutely zero cars here. How is this even a city if there's not 20 million cars honking their horns and causing terrible, terrible traffic jams? My immersion is completely broken. The forest area is the last hub in this game. Really, there isn't anything here at all. It's just a completely vast, empty place with a few objectives to complete for the story. After you complete them, there truly isn't any purpose to coming here. I think, like me, most other players also find this area extremely annoying, especially when playing as a slower character like Silver, because it takes so long to get from one end to the other. Let's see, you got the actual forest section of this map, which has absolutely nothing to do in it. What I like to call the plains, because it's completely empty with absolutely nothing to do in it. And the pond, and if you could believe it, there's absolutely nothing to do here. There are a few points of interest here though, I guess. This castle portion, which admittedly is pretty awesome looking and fun to explore, and this cave. I don't know why, but caves are just kind of cool. But despite these points of interest being points that are somewhat interesting, there's still absolutely nothing to do in them. Yeah, sorry to end this game on a sour note. I really think the reason these hub worlds aren't as fun is because Sonic's player controller isn't as fun. I mean, at least compared to Sonic Adventure. You can't use momentum to shoot yourself into the air and get on top of places to explore. Like, even if these areas were completely barren, which they kind of are, if you've got slopes and an amazing character controller like in Sonic Adventure, you can make your own fun. There's just nothing about Sonic's physics here that allow you to do that. But you know what you can do? It's actually the best part about the hub worlds that I haven't mentioned yet. Messing around with the gems, specifically the purple and sky blue gems. As Sonic, you're able to purchase shoe gems at the shop, some being insanely overpowered due to this game basically being unfinished. The purple gem shrinks Sonic, which doesn't initially sound like it'd be of any use in our case. But for whatever reason, you can jump an infinite amount of times, making it so that Sonic can basically go wherever he wants. Needless to say, this is extremely useful for exploring and getting to places you really shouldn't be able to reach. The second useful gem is the Sky Blue gem, which has Sonic throw the gem and then rapidly follow its trajectory as soon as it lands. He goes so fast that he can actually clip through walls, which again is extremely useful for exploring and getting to places you shouldn't really be able to reach. Combine these two gems and now you have hours of entertainment exploring these otherwise barren wastelands of hub worlds. I used to spend so many hours as a kid, just dicking around with the gems and trying to break the game in as many ways as possible. Going inside buildings, leaving the skybox, murdering NPCs by pushing them into the water. Whoa! Great times. In a weird way, I've had some of the most fun I've ever had in a Sonic game in these hub worlds, and it's because of how janky they are. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Take it however you will. Next up on our Sonic Hub World adventure is Sonic Unleashed, or Sonic World Adventure as it's known in Japan. And a worldly adventure it sure is, because throughout the game, Sonic literally travels from country to country, spanning across the entire globe. And the best part is that each of these countries is its own hub world. Sonic Adventure and 06 each had 3 hub areas, but Unleash has more than both of them combined. Granted, some areas aren't nearly as big, but they sure are diverse, especially since they're inspired by real-life countries. Our Sonic Unleashed tour begins in Apotos, a country inspired by Greece. With a beautiful town of white and blue buildings built on top of the mountainside, the view cannot be beaten. You're able to see the vast ocean and the enormous windmills in the distance with ease. On top of that, you've got the seagulls circling around the sky and the other cliffside villages in the distance. It's all very detailed. You can even peek down below to see areas you can't even go to, but still have characters doing things like this lady watering her empty pots. You totally got this, keep it up. Out of all of the locations, this one has got to be the most travel Instagram-worthy entry. I mean, look at all the fancy outdoor dining areas. You've also got some friendly townsfolk like the Ice Cream Man, who gives Chip one of the most delicious sundaes I've ever laid my eyes on. Spagonia, our next destination, is a beautiful city inspired by France. This is probably the biggest hub world of the game. You've got huge, very historic looking buildings with some very fancy architecture. I mean, this is the country that Rooftop Run is in, which is a level that still blows my mind today. This section where you climb up the clock tower and then grind down this rail from way up high overlooking the entire town is absolutely stunning. You've got this enormous university building at the heart of the city, which you can go in, although you can't really explore outside of a single room. The city lamps all have vibrant red banners. But Spagonia is very dense in detail. You can literally walk up to each shop and take a look inside. Now these are some crusty JPEGs, but they do such a good job at faking the illusion of depth. And each one is unique. You've got the vegetable shop, the butcher, the flower shop. I'm sure eating any of this would probably be one of the best meals of your life, especially the flowers. Mazuri is our next stop, a town in a savanna country inspired by Africa. Mazuri makes me sweaty just by looking at it. The bright red ground, the coarse looking grass, it's probably like over 100 degrees here at all times. But look at all the animals in the backgrounds, like these zebra and giraffes. At least they're having a good time, probably. This is totally an area that it would be awesome to do some like cool off-road driving, or in this case, running. You know, I think I see why Sonic does what he does. This entire area, especially the second area of this hub, just looks like a giant playground for Sonic. I love how decorative everything is. You've got this merchant selling drums and spices in a tree. There's a bunch of cool pottery too, like these vases made out of the faces of deceased Coco. Cool. Holoska, inspired by Antarctica and probably a bit of Alaska, is our next stop. It's a tiny snow-covered village with people living in igloos. As a kid, I always wanted to live in igloos. It's literally a house that you build out of snow yourself. Like you make it yourself with your own hands in snow. That's so freaking cool. Opposite of Mazuri, this place looks as cold as my ex's heart. This is basically the weather we get in Chicago. And then we have this random hot dog vendor with the t-shirt on. Yeah, this really is just like Chicago. Not only does it have igloos, but also snowmen, and they're even dressed up. Come here at night and you're able to see the beautiful night sky lit up with thousands of stars. I'd absolutely love to visit here and just drink some hot soup and stargaze for a bit. Sounds awesome. Coming up next is Chun-nan, a country inspired by China. It's a very mountainous landscape, and although the sky is pretty dreary, the vibrant reds and yellows catch your eye at every corner. There's a ton of pottery and art all over the place. The red lanterns hanging from the poles really emphasize the path to the river. Follow it up and you'll come across a beautiful waterfall. I'd always try to go into this pond area and see if Sonic could survive with his head submerged underwater. Is that sadistic? Probably, but I'm here to tell you that Sonic does in fact not drown in this game. But if you touch anything more than like 5 feet of water, you instantly die. Yeah, makes sense. The neighboring area has some beautiful red temples and you can actually go inside them. And surrounding the entire perimeter are thick stalks of bamboo and mountain walls. This place is a mountain paradise. Shamar, our next destination, is a city inspired by the Middle East. It's got super jazzy music, a beautiful blue sky, and crystal clear water running down the sides of the main walkway. My favorite part about Shamar is all the items for sale you can find on the sides of the road. You've got pottery, plates, spices, vegetables, rugs. Bro, like look at this little sign with the Chao riding the magic carpet and tell me that's not the coolest thing you've ever seen. Similar to Spagonia, it's tiny details that really make this place feel alive. You can even go up to the roofs to get a good view of the city, or duck under this opening in the wall to take a shortcut to the other side. There's also this creepy orange lit area that's hidden away from everything else that has an ominous door that you can't open. Like, what the heck is the deal with this place? Oh, by the way, I'm so sorry to whoever makes all of these pots because every time I go here, I just can't help myself and I break all of them. I guess it's just my video game goblin brain instincts. I can't help it. Now, this next location has a very special place in my heart since it's inspired by America, specifically in New York, and that is Empire City. Aside from having what I consider the best level in this entire game, Empire City is an urban location with some beautiful parks. I always love the juxtaposition of nature in the middle of what's essentially a concrete jungle. Walking in, we can see this huge water fountain with a giant golden globe on top of it, probably symbolizing something stupid like America thinking it's the center of the universe or something, although I can confirm. And what's America known for, besides mass shootings? Eating food. And boy, do we have food here. There's probably like 20 food carts here, and you can buy either pizza, chili dog, or hamburger. Ah yes, the average American diet. The park itself is really pretty. Lots of strategically planted trees, giving the design of the park balance. There's plenty of pigeons here, which is pretty accurate. And the skyscrapers in the distance are really just the icing on top of a very, very vertical cake. Oh yeah, there's also this funny rainbow thing that makes Sonic do whatever this is. Our final stop in the Sonic Unleashed tour is Adabat, a water town inspired by Southeast Asia. At a first glance, you'll probably look at the structural integrity of some of these buildings and think chaos. But it's very organized chaos. Yes, the entire town is built on top of water, and it looks like it's held up with a few wooden planks, but you can just tell that these guys know what they're doing. Definitely something that makes this place one of the more unique ones. Not to mention, the beautiful crystal clear water paired with the vibrant blue sky is truly a sight to behold. The water is shallow enough for even Sonic to explore in, and if you do, you'll probably see the schools of fish swimming around. On top of that, there's so many extravagant decorations that I want to say this is probably the most colorful location in the game. And that's everything from Sonic Unleashed. Sure, these hub worlds don't have the same amount of exploration as an adventure, because again, Sonic's player controller isn't as versatile in this game. The boost games tend to have Sonic a lot more tanky. I honestly think this world would be a much better place if people just played Sonic Unleashed. There's one thing this game has that none other do: cultural appreciation. Oh yeah, also the game has really good graphics, that kinda helps too. Speaking of graphics, Sonic Generations is our final stop in the Hub World Tour. This game features a hub world in the middle of an empty void called White Space. As the name implies, this is definitely a space that is white because all the level entrances have the color sucked out of them until you beat them. This is another 2D hub world, similar to Advance 3 I suppose. But it's all one continuous stretch, which is actually pretty neat. It's fun to just spam the boost button and fly past every level entrance since you get unlimited boost here. And there's some fun platforming bits to get to the extra levels on top of the main level entrances. Sonic Generations, like Unleashed, has some really nice graphics that still hold up to this day. The way they remastered all these classic levels into HD is truly amazing, and you get bite-sized pieces of that for each level entrance. Sonic's friends are also found throughout, and you can talk to them and do little extra missions that feature them as assists. You can even find some of Sonic's rivals, like Metal Sonic, Shadow, and Silver. I gotta say though, White Space would be a lot better if it wasn't so white. I like the idea of the world gaining color when you complete stuff, but even after it does, the backdrop is still a white void. But even a better setting wouldn't fix the fact that it's just kind of boring. Compared to most of the other 3D hub worlds, this one is very small and there's just not a lot to do here. I think if it were in 3D, it would have been a lot more interesting to explore at least. Unfortunately, that's all I really have to say about this one, but overall White Space has a lot of neat nods to the series, and you can tell that a lot of love went into its design. Sonic hub worlds are beautiful. In my opinion, they're the perfect things to give players a break from the intense speeds that Sonic games love to offer. And after analyzing each one, I think I can pinpoint the 3 ingredients that make a good hub world: attention to detail, explorability, and a good player controller. Have all 3 of those, and I think you could really just slap Sonic in any environment and it'd probably work. While Sonic Frontiers might be venturing into open zones, there's definitely an undeniable charm in the tried and true hub world formula. They're more than just gateways into new levels. They're spaces where players can truly immerse themselves, savoring every detail of the game's universe. Anyways, that's gonna be it for today's video. If you liked it, make sure to leave a fat like and subscribe for even more way past cool Sonic content such as this. In the comments below, let me know what your favorite Sonic hub world is. Huge thank you to my amazing channel members, and with all that being said, I hope everyone has a fantastic day. Peace.